Okay, so like most of the world, I went to see Captain Marvel this weekend. I went on Friday, and after a lifetime of referencing the movies referenced me as I was sitting there. Spoilers if you haven't seen Captain Marvel yet, because I got to tell you what happens in order to tell you what happened. In the movie, Captain Marvel herself is on top of a train, then blasts into a train. She's looking for the Skrulls, who could change their appearance. So she's looking at everybody on the train, because the Skrull could be anybody. Could be me, could be you. So you hear a guy, you hear a voice, very unmistakable voice. And then you see somebody on the train with like a book in front of their faces, looks like. You get closer, it's a script. You get closer to the script, you see that it's the title treatment font to the movie Mallrats. And it says by Kevin Smith on it. So, you know, I went ape shit. I was just fucking profoundly moved. It was Stan sitting there reading the Mallrats script and reciting the line over and over like he was rehearsing, going, "Trust me, true believer. Trust me, true believer." It was everything. Mind you, this was after I watched, you know, the opening of the movie, and the Marvel Studios logo was all Stan all the time. But to be sitting there, you know, as I have so often throughout the course of my life, in a dark movie theater, usually next to somebody I like, or really like or love. In this case, it was my wife. And to, you know, see my friend who's no longer with us in a cameo is thrilling enough. To see that cameo in which Stan was playing himself, getting ready to be in my movie back in 1995 was like. So I'm gonna keep it under control, but I'm gonna tell you how I found out about it, because I knew before I got to the theater. I got a phone call a couple months back, after Stan passed away, from the great Kevin Feige over at Marvel Studios, and naturally, fucking Kevin Feige calls. Hello? Pick up the phone right away. So Kevin was like, "I read your Stan thing," because I put up an Instagram post after Stan passed, and he's like, "And I heard the podcast because we did an episode of Fat Man on Batman, me and Mark Bernardin at Scum and Villainy, where we eulogized Stan." This is before we did the recent Excelsior event with Legion M at the Gromans at the Chinese Theater, TCL Chinese Theater. So we were talking about how bummed we were that Stan had passed. And then Kevin goes, "Well, I'm calling you with a very specific reason." I said, "All right, what's up?" And he goes, "I got to tell you this, but you can't tell anybody. In order for me to go forward, I got to tell you Stan's cameo in Captain Marvel." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Like, you know, that's shit, man. I was getting information early and stuff. So he goes, Captain Marvel's on the train. He explains the whole thing. And then he says, and there's Stan, and he's reading the script to Mallrats. And, you know, I cried on the phone with him. I was like, "You fucking shitting me?" He's going, "Yeah, that was the cameo." He goes, "Now, we shot his cameo for Avengers before this. This cameo they had done for Captain Marvel. This was when Stan was on his weaker side. It was only a few months before he passed." So, Kevin asked me, he's going like, "Did you have alternate takes on Mallrats of him doing his lines?" Because, you know, the day we shot him, he was kind of physically weakened, and so the voice wasn't quite there. So I said, "I mean, I don't have him, but we did, you know, like had multiple takes. It's not like he was a one-take wonder and stuff. So there are multiple takes of them somewhere doing those lines. If you call Universal, they might be able to track it down." So when he told me, like, I remember one of my friends was just like, "Kevin Feige called you? Did you think he was going to ask you to direct a movie?" And I was like, "No." Isn't that weird? That's how little I think of myself as a filmmaker. Is that dude called, And the first thing went through my head was like, I got to get him on a fucking podcast. Like, he's my white whale. Are you kidding me? I can do hours with Kevin fucking Feige, man. He's one of my favorite storytellers on the planet. And I don't say that because I'm like, I want a fucking job at Marvel. I like watching those movies. Making them looks like it would be a real pain in the ass. But that referencing me in a Marvel movie, like, these fucking movies mean so much to me. It's nuts. It really is. It's probably fucking sad how much they mean to me. To see, you know, Stan sitting there on the train rehearsing for the flick I made like 24 fucking years ago, man. Like, you know, because the movie's set in 1995. It was everything. Like, I turned to my wife and I was like, I can die now. She goes, shut up. I was like, no, I won't. And one day I will die. I was so happy. Like, years ago, because I'd always loved him, thought he was so cool, I put Stan Lee in a movie. And then 24 years later, he returned the favor. And other people did as well. I know it wasn't just Stan, but Stan said the words, and that was everything. My big thanks to Kevin Feige. I know he's the engineer behind this. Ryan Fleck, Anna Boden, the great directors of Captain Marvel. Years ago, they had made this movie that I absolutely love called Half Nelson. And I sat in for Roger Ebert on Ebert and Roper at the movies to review it and stuff. And blew the film. Was just like, these cats are amazing. This movie's astounding. And years later, they made another movie that now means like the world to me for a completely different reason. The movie's great. I love the movie. I'm sorry, we're not even discussing the movie here. I'll wait and do that with Mark maybe. But I just wanted to talk about the thing that obviously affected me the most. And the thing that everyone on Twitter for the last like 72 hours before I saw the movie was like, I can't wait to see what Kevin Smith has to say about Captain Marvel. Everyone was being very sweet about not spoiling it and stuff like that. But it was spoiled. But it was spoiled by the best person in the world to fucking spoil it, Kevin Feige. So thank you to all those cats over at Marvel, man. Like, that motherfucking Oscar. Like, that's my legacy. Are you kidding me? They'll be watching that fucking Captain Marvel movie long after I'm out of this world. And some kid in the future, some quasi-alien kid from planet Tralfaz, as they learn about Earth culture, is going to be like, you know, what was a mall rat's mother? And someone will have to go look me up on whatever version of Wikipedia exists. May not exist if we don't send them money. This is going to become a plug for Wikipedia. Send Wikipedia some money. I do every once in a while because I use them all the fucking time. That helps keep me alive for just a little bit longer, man. But more than anything else, the boy who loved movies his whole life, you know, I got to make movies and stuff like that, so naturally, I know what that's like. But this is different. Like, I'm inside and I'm outside. I'm inside because, like, I do my movies for a living, but I'm outside, like, the business and stuff. Like, I'm the guy they talk to, you know, when they want somebody to talk about the movies. When they're like, oh my God, did you like, you know, fucking Captain Marvel? I'm like, I fucking love Captain Marvel. So I always feel kind of a part or outside of things. Not in a shitty way where I'm like, fuck I'm an outsider. But just, I do. I always feel kind of like, well, there's that world and then there's this. But for one brief shining moment on Friday night, I like felt like, oh, they've heard of me over there. So stupid. Anyway, there it is. Thank you, Marvel. And thank you, Stan.